Well, hello, Miss Michelle Froedge, the Rockstar Coach. How are you?
Hello, hello.
So, we're having a beautiful day here in Georgia.
Thankfully, yes, after we had some storms.
Yeah, and I went outside in my blue boots, and they came back yellow for the.
Yeah, right? Everything is yellow. My car's yellow. Everything is yellow.
It was funny. I mean, it was really funny. I looked down. I was on the phone. I looked down, and I looked at my blue boots. I'm like, they're yellow.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's a pretty shade.
pretty. It's really nasty around here right now with all of that flying around, but it's necessary to have the beauty, so we'll take it.
I'll take it. Doesn't bother me, honestly. My card needs a new wash, but that's okay. So so I want to take a moment to introduce my friend, my sister from another mister, Michelle Froedge, the Rockstar Coach. She is an intuitive life and business coach, and she believes everything works together. And when everything in our life seems to be running smoothly, like in alignment, life is good. When one thing shifts, oh, amen to this, it affects every other aspect, whether positively or negatively. And so what she does is she supports and guides others into aligning their purpose and making the positive shifts, making those positive shifts that will affect all other aspects of our lives. I seem to have a speaking issue today. Uh, So whether you want a better relationship or a more successful business, more connection in the spiritual realm, or just want to live a fulfilling life, you can do it, and you can do it with her. So, um, so this is my sister from another mister, the Rockstar Coach, spiritual doctor for your soul. Who's
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
You're welcome. And we're going to be talking about some really cool things about what happens energetically when we engage in conflict. And I think that, um, oh, interesting. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I told you that Dr. Patrick Porter, who's a contributing author to my book, Emotional Healing, Toxic Free Living.
Look at that book. Look at it. Yay.
Um,
That's a sight for sore eyes.
And I have to tell you something. So I ordered a box, right? But then I also ordered my own copy because the box takes a long time to get. And so the book came in the mail. And as I put my hand in the mailbox, you can feel God's goodness on the book.
Mm,
It's crazy, like the
it's
yumminess, right?
so wonderful.
And this took a year extra to get done, almost to the day. And um, I'm actually gonna, because this actually, I didn't even hear this until the show went live. So I'm just gonna kind of preface this because I think that what he had to say is pretty profound. Okay, so um, you and I are talking about what happens energetically when we engage in conflict, and so we'll be talking about fractured souls and walk-ins and things of that nature. And as you know, that this book, the reason it didn't go live a year ago is because we had to reframe mental health for the world, and I had to go through a few things in order to be able to share the wisdom, right? And last night, I couldn't go to sleep. And the reason I couldn't go to sleep is because I finally decided to check on Amazon all of the reviews that maybe I thought hopefully they showed up by now, right? Because it's Amazon time, not our time.
Right?
It's not even
Kind of like
necessarily
this time,
divine
not our
time,
time.
right? So I decide to look, and this is what put me into tears. And I want to read this review from Dr. Patrick Porter, who is a neuroscientist and is the founder of BrainTap. And because there's a part in here, not just because, of course, it made me feel good, it's about what we're going to talk about today. Okay. Um, that he is endorsing a scientist. Okay. And so I want you to understand that science and spirituality are no longer separate. They're one and the same. Okay? So I'll take my glasses off to read. That's how that works. All right. So, as someone, I guess I should keep my face in here. As someone who has dedicated to helping people retrain their brains and reclaim their health, I recognize the power of a transformative personal story, and Rev Jodi Susan's emotional healing, toxic free living is exactly that. In this courageous and insightful book, she shares her 20-year journey through misdiagnosis, over medication, and ultimately awakening. Yeah, it was quite awakening. I mean, this will show you. What Rev Jodi uncovers, now this is the part y'all really want to hear, is something, wait, is that the part? Well, yes and no. Okay. What Rev Jodi uncovers is something I've seen time and again. When we ignore the root causes, environmental toxins, emotional trauma, and energetic imbalances, okay, which is when we engage in conflict, um, we trade true healing, okay, for symptom suppression. And I want you to really focus on this symptom suppression, right? Her message speaks directly to the core of what I teach. Your body is brilliantly designed to heal when given the right environment and support. We support. Good. But then he goes on to say this. This book reframes mental health in a way the mainstream medical model often overlooks. By the way, this show is for entertainment purposes only. Thank you, YouTube. All right. Rev Jodi sheds light on how chronic exposure to harmful chemicals and frequencies can fracture their human spirit, leading to what some call mental illness. But what she reveals as spiritual and energetic disruption. So, what we're saying is that these chemicals are causing an spiritual and energetic disruption. Her commitment to shifting the paradigm from poisonous pills and produce to plants and prayers is revolutionary and aligned with the principles of neuroplasticity, coherence, and the mind body connection. Through her lived experience and divinely downloaded wisdom, she empowers readers to take back control of their mental, emotional, and physical well being. Emotional Healing Toxic Free Living isn't just a book, it's a roadmap to conscious living with practical tools, a comprehensive workbook, and inspiring insights from some of the brightest minds in brain and body wellness. Rev Jodi offers a path to transformation that begins with honoring the sacredness of the self. If you're ready to break free from the toxic patterns and step into your highest potential, this book is your invitation. I proudly stand with Rev Jodi in her mission to bring light, healing, and divine intelligence to a world that desperately needs it. This is what we're going to talk about today, people. And that's why I cried.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about what happens energetically when we have conflict, and the conflict can be between people. The conflict can be between the chemicals, between you and the chemicals in your home, right? It can be the hidden toxins, meaning your EMF, right? So how it fractures your soul. And I think we had notes. Did we not? I think I sent you notes for this. People, it's been a day, it's been a week. We're kind of busy. We had to do notes. I'm just gonna say.
Notes are good. Notes are good. That's fine. Hi, Chris.
Oh, Chris, my lovey.
Chris is here.
I love Chris. I'm sending you love. I hope you feel it. All right.
The little sunshine.
She is ball sunshine. Right. So if you're, watching us for the first time, you can reach out to Michelle Froedge. I'm just going to do this at the beginning. My Rockstar Coach at gmail.com, or you can see her website at www.rockstarcoach.org. You can catch her on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. She is all over. And I can be reached at 847-738-0242. And you can also email me, Jodi at SusanEssentials.com. Go to the website, SusanEssentials.com. All right. Go, girl.
What am I going to do?
You get to share. She says she loves us back. So where have you witnessed how what happens to us energetically when we engage in conflict?
I mean, there's so many things, but the first thing that comes to mind is when we have conflict with another person or within ourselves. And a lot of times there's both, right? When we have conflict with another person, we also have conflict within ourselves, and vice versa. Here's the most basic way to put it. It brings our vibration down. So if we are vibing high, and a lot of people throw that around, and some people may not understand really what that means. I didn't necessarily know what it meant until I experienced it myself. So no shame. We're all learning. We're all rising. We're all getting there. It's just taking us our own time, right? Some people have known it for years and years and years. And, I just barely learned it. So there is no judgment. But when you experience a higher vibration, you see things differently. You feel different. Your mind feels different. Your emotions feel different. The way you see other people and situations is different. The way you see yourself and feel about yourself is different. And when we engage in conflict, it has the potential. I'll say that. It has the potential. It's not automatic, but it has the potential to pull us down from our high vibe to a lower vibration. Now, the reason why I said it has the potential is because conflict is not a bad thing. It's not.
It's not. I agree. We've had conversations, the difference between conflict and conversation, and the pivot you can have on that, but go ahead.
Yeah. Conflict just means that you don't have the same belief or feeling about something that someone else does. Or so if it's a conflict within ourselves, well, we may be saying, I want XYZ. And the conflict in ourselves is, I don't see how I can get that. And I'm frustrated and I'm disappointed and I'm thinking it must be something wrong with me. I'm not worthy of it. Right? So all of these things can happen. Or we can do it this way. We can say, I want XYZ. How can I make that happen? Okay, universe, show me, teach me. I'm open. I'm ready to learn. Right? So that's staying in that high vibe instead of going to that lower vibe of negativity, right? And it's not toxic positivity either. It's just keeping that on a level that we can be open-minded. And if it's with another person, you're open-minded to their beliefs and their opinions. And hopefully you receive the same in return. And that's when conflict doesn't have to bring you down. It actually can elevate you and the other person, if it's involving another person, because we can learn from one another. And when we're learning from one another, see, I can't talk either. We're both raising our vibration.
Well, there's a lot of radiation on the positive now. So, like if you twist your tongue while you're speaking, just up to the CME, right? There you go. Coronal mass ejection is what a CME is. So,
there you go.
And Chris says not being drawn down into the muck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not picking up the dice and not taking it personally. Mm-hmm. See, people are placed in our path for a reason, to teach us. Mm-hmm. And that's why, okay, so you're having a confrontation. Okay. maybe it's just an opportunity for you to hear a different viewpoint. You may stick to your same viewpoint,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it's just an opportunity for that person to be heard until they stop being batshit crazy. Oh, sorry. I'm seriously messing with people. Okay.
Yeah, but it's true sometimes.
It is true. So actually, that's what happened yesterday. There was somebody who was promoting jabs again on. They were very, very upset because Utah was the very first state to take fluoride out of the water, and the person's a dentist, and he was saying how it's insane. And I said, but I go, you've seen the research. I said that shows that fluoride is a neurotoxin. Okay, so this is, what happens when we engage in conflict, right? And so, so I took the high road, okay, but they started attacking me. Oh, you have pseudoscience. You're not smart enough to understand a research paper. And I said, okay. I said, I'm sending you love. I'm sending you God's grace. And I pray that you find a higher power that allows you to seek truth and transparency at your own divinely inspired pace. Because what are you going to say to anybody other than that? Either say nothing at all or send
That's
them love.
usually what I do. I'm just
Well,
like,
I send them love now.
I'm not even going to engage.
Well, when you feel when you're in a conflict that you need to uh, disrespect somebody, like you actually don't have to pick up the dice to the person who does that.
Mm-hmm.
So Michelle and I are giving you permission to not pick up the dice, or as Chris says, not be drawn down into the technical term of muck.
Yes,
So
that is a technical term. Yes.
it is a technical term.
Mm-hmm.
And so look, this dentist is entitled to believe in fluoride as not being a neurotoxin. That's his divine right. But it's also my divine right to understand research differently. And we don't have to hurt people in the process. We don't have to get angry. Because if we do you want to tell them what happens to the cells, or should I?
Go for it.
Okay. When we get angry at others, right, we drink the poison hoping they die. That's the short version. What really happens is, if you have heard of Masaru Emoto's water experiment, where he studies the impact of our emotions on water, you'll see when the water is frozen after we give it gratitude, love, joy, peace, it freezes as beautiful crystals. And of course, if you give it something other than that, you get the opposite. And the thing is that, and I learned this the other day. I mean, well, I've known this one for a long time, that our body is 70% water. But then I was at a conference, and the guy I was talking to goes, well, did you know your cell is 90% water? Yeah. Okay. When I understood that, I really started to tame my tongue, send people love, send them grace. Because we also don't know what they were dealing with prior to whatever engagement that you had. So, and it's not going to help you at all to pick up the dice and, or, pick up the shit and throw it back at them, because that's really not dice, it's shit or muck.
Yeah. And I heard there was a study done, and for the life of me now, I'm not remembering where I saw this, but it really was just a couple of days ago, where there was a study done where a person was sending love to different people, like in a meditation group. So if you were having a bad day, Jodi, I would send you positive energy. I would send you love, whatever it is, right?
And you have
all of those things. Yes. And the study was done that one would think that, oh, because it was on the brain, they did it was a brain study. One would think that the brain of the person receiving it would, really have this wonderful um, effect, right? It would have this wonderful effect on, and it did. But what I thought was really cool was not only did it have an effect on the person it was being sent to, but the person that was sending, it actually had more of an effect on.
I
So
know. I know.
it's the
I know.
giving,
Mm-hmm.
it's the giving,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the giving so that we can receive. It's when we don't engage, when it's not necessary to. Sometimes it's necessary, but when it's not necessary, and we can do what you said, send them love, whether we say it or not. We can send them love, send them positive energy, and understand that we just disagree on that, and it's okay. When
Mm-hmm.
we can do that, that's staying in that high vibe, and that's also keeping your brain, your cells, right, and your body elevated as well, because of the energy and the fact that we are water. We are huge. A huge part of us is water. So yes, it
Yeah,
all.
and and then I think we need to talk about the fact that we get courted to that person.
Yeah, yeah. All relationships have chords. Um, Positive, negative, whatever that is, we create cords when we are in relationship with someone,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's people at work, people at the grocery store, that, um,
And then
we,
you're carrying around their energy.
Mhm.
So I don't think people really understand what it means to be courted. I
Yeah.
mean, go for it. I mean, because like when you're courted, what does that show up? What does that feel like? What does it look like?
So I'm gonna share something that I've done with many of my clients. So I primarily work with women.
Mhm.
Um, I work with women in the coaching world, as far as readings, men and women. But in the coaching world, I have worked with women to release cords from their past. And
Mhm.
what the example I'm going to share is um, romantic relationship partners and sexual partners,
Mhm.
past sexual partners. Not only do we carry the energy of a person that we have, been in relationship with, that may have ended badly, that, may have broken your heart, maybe you broke their heart, whatever it is, that energy, unless we remove that, is still on us. It's still connecting us. And when we are physically connected with that person, it makes it even stronger. And so, what can happen is we can remove those cords, or if there is a relationship that you don't want to cut the cord on, because maybe it's a family member, something like that, and you want to be connected, you just don't want the negativity perhaps that might be there from the past experiences, from the trauma, whatever it is, we can do cord healing as well.
Mhm.
But the fact of the matter is, there's a cord, like there's a cord that connects Jodi and I,
Mhm.
right? Because we are connected energetically in a relationship. And so if we were to have a conflict, we might want to do some cord healing,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so it if we don't understand that or recognize it, we might be feeling a certain way in our current relationship, a current friendship, whatever that is. And we might be thinking, why am I getting triggered by this? Why do I feel this way about this thing? Well, maybe it's not your relationship with that person at all. Maybe it's something you're carrying in
Mhm.
a cord from a past relationship that just hasn't been healed or taken
Clear
care
or
of.
cut. And yes, you can heal the cords. I set an intention that when I cut cords, for myself or for others, and I don't always set this intention, for them to grow back with love and light, releasing the old um, energy forms,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something. I want to go back to how you were saying that, like, if you, let's say you're doing healing for me,
Mhm.
that you also get that healing. They've measured it. So in, I want to say it's May when I come back from my NLP training, um, uh, going for Master Pack. Woohoo. Gary Montemayor is going to be on this podcast. Hold on to your pantyhose. So, you know, I met him at a biohacking expo, and I gave him an envelope because he said, "Hey, I'm from the Cayman Islands." Oh, I said, "I got this pocket prayer card for you." Right now, this is covered up. It's in a blue envelope and in a sleeve, and he holds it to his chest and he can feel it. Right? He's like, "Oh my god, I can feel it." He hasn't even opened it. And because he was, and for those who don't know, sorry, this picture of the dark cave with all the light was taken in the Cayman Islands. So we start talking. He studied under Dr. Patrick Porter, and he measures what we do. Like he's a huge scientist.
Mhm.
He's that he doesn't have a machine that just like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he was an MD.
Mhm. I like that. That's
I
cool.
know. So, anyways, people, we have a huge lineup coming up on the show where we're just going to be having lots and lots of fun with some, really cool people outside of the cool people that you're watching right now, right? So, um, so going back to what happens when energetically we engage in conflict. Um, So we can choose, which is what I did yesterday. So it was a great practice. And I'm looking at my notes over here, um, to not absorb that person's energy. And so what I do is I become like the observer. Okay, I'll just be a teacher now, right? I don't have to, like Chris was saying, well, we don't have to be drawn down into the muck. Well, how do you do that? Well, you pretend like you're observing the situation, you're watching yourself engage with the other person. You go, oh, okay, how would I guide myself to do that? Would you tell them just like punch the lights out? Probably not, right? Like your higher self is going to mention, hey, maybe we should be gentle with this soul. Even, I mean, and this guy clearly has misinformation, um, according to me and some others. And Chris makes a really good point. She says, observe but not carry, right? Great job, Chris. Um, and when we observe and don't carry, we can stay in our heart space. We can stay with love and speak with love. We don't have to take on the energy alignment that they chose. We can align to our own higher power. And that's where the real power is.
Mhm.
When you have the wherewithal and have, to speak your mind, stay in your heart with love, and not attack the person, but also speak your truth.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, I was just telling this person, I'm like, okay, well, because they're attacking me. I'm like, oh, okay, I hope you find God. I don't know what else to say to you. I mean, and it's kind of amusing. I know that people who are listening to this have had this happen where somebody, I mean, I think I'm just going to tell you what I hear. I hear at a soul level, they knew that their science was flawed. So the only thing that they could really do was attack the person who was telling them. That's what I hear energetically. But they didn't at a 3D level know that. They knew that at a 5D level. And so there was a conflict, as Michelle was saying, inside of them. There are times we have inside conflict. And actually, Michelle, I would love for you to talk about what that really means when we're having this inside conflict and what that does to us energetically, please.
Well, I mean, energetically, it can show up physically. You know, it can show up as anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
It can show up as feeling not worthy. It can also show up as like being conceited or arrogant, right? Because um, it it it's going to it might be based on personality, but some of it also is based on situation. It's situational, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
like that person,
Mm-hmm.
if they felt, because they were feeling attacked by what you said. They
Totally.
were like they probably went to school for
A
15
lot.
years,
Mm-hmm.
right? Spent a whole lot of money, and now you, who are not a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
you're not a dentist,
No,
you're telling them that all the stuff that they learned about this one thing, about their practice, about their career, about their purpose in life
mm-hmm.
is incorrect.
Yep, and I do it in the book too.
And like you said earlier, Jodi, people are put in our lives for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can understand that on our end, if we are triggered by something somebody does or says, that is not on them.
Mm-hmm.
The trigger is not on them. Now, they might be being disrespectful or unkind or whatever. That's a different story.
Right.
But if we're triggered by something,
Yeah.
that's an opportunity
What
for us
are
to
you?
ourselves
Right.
and say what is going on inside, because that messes with our energy. And so that's an inside conflict. It messes with our energy. It pulls us down. It creates this feeling of anxiety, anger, perhaps, defensiveness. That's a big one. We get real defensive, right? And it's like, we don't have to do that.
Mm-mm.
But if we succumb
Mm-hmm.
to that pulling down of our energy, then that's what will happen. But if we recognize, oh, I'm triggered,
Mm-hmm.
okay, okay, breathe first.
Right.
Okay, what can I learn from this? Why did that trigger me? Why did what they said or did or whatever affect me? Why am I taking this personally? And
Well,
then if we're
that's the big one right there. Why are you taking it personally? Right?
well,
Why?
and we need to go backward from that, because it's almost always something that we've experienced that caused us shame or fear or whatever it is. And that's just like Dr. Patrick Porter said, when we can get to the root, then we can heal that. And then someone can do or say the very same thing, and we're not triggered by it.
Right. And the thing is, and forgive me. So I just want to say this, that I have a lot of respect for people in the medical profession. I also know that, and this is not going to be received well, most of them were taught incorrectly. Um, there's a lot of history on this. Uh, Part of it is in the book, part of it's not in the book, because I didn't really want to spend all my time on that. And in the book, I do say that I know in my heart that these doctors went to school to help people heal.
Mhm.
That was their intention, and there's no question about it.
Right.
And it's not their fault.
Yeah, right.
But it is now their responsibility to continue their education and to find truth and transparency. And so I do hold them accountable. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I also say throw them grace, throw them a lot of grace, because they worked really hard
Mm-hmm.
to learn to help humanity to do the right thing. They were given misinformation and they paid a ton of money for it too. And they were given a lot of misinformation. So send them love, send them grace. Okay. There's a lot of these MDs that crossed over to where we're at. So there's a lot of MDs that understand that what they learned was misinformation. Again, this is entertainment purposes only.
Well, and they learned about the body and about anatomy and chemistry and all of that. And that paired with other modalities is brilliant.
Yes.
You like
nutrition, oils, frequency, name it.
Hold on. I can't think of his name right now. Why can't Joe Dispenza? Sorry, I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah. Was he an MD or was he a DC?
A chiropractor. He's a DC.
Yeah, so the DCs, yeah. Well, it's interesting you bring that up. So I don't have it to show. It's been all over the internet for years. I have a picture of it from when I was working in Dr. Danny McLean's office in 2016. And on his whiteboard, okay, he has a line going down the middle. And on one side is the education hours for a medical doctor, and the education hours on the other side is that for a chiropractor. And the truth of the matter is that chiropractors, people assume that they go to school like it's, I don't know, like community college.
Right, like it's a trade school.
Right?
Yeah.
And they actually have significantly, and I mean significantly, more hours of education than any MD. And the reason is about the human body, right? About the human body, about x-rays, about the nervous system, all of that, and nutrition. And MDs don't get nutrition, but what MDs get that chiropractors never get is what to do with synthetic drugs. And there's your big difference.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to what happens energetically when we engage in conflict. And I want to talk now about drugs. It fractures the soul. And which is called in psychology disassociation, by the way. Okay? And we can have disassociations or fractured souls at different ages. But let's say you're there, you just cannot face what you're being presented with. So your spiritual body literally leaves your physical body, goes to another timeline and or dimension, and takes a mental vacation. Meanwhile, an ancestor, we're not talking demons, just an ancestor of sorts, you have a karmic agreement to bring in another ancestor who's going to take care of that temple of yours while you're in another timeline and dimension, processing that trauma, deciding if you want to come back. And they can come in and out in nanoseconds, or they can come in and out like in minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, days. Their choice. And if that's not enough for you, because we live in multiple timelines, we have different versions of ourselves in different timelines. So it could be the 12-year-old version of yourself that comes in and takes over because you get triggered by something that happened to you at age 12. So the 12-year-old shows up and says, nah, 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 right? Or the 21-year-old shows up, nah, 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 nah. And then your friend says, well, why did you say that? You know, well, I didn't say that because the 21-year-old just left and they don't have any recollection. And then you start having self-esteem issues and be self-conscious because you're like, well, what's wrong with my memory? Why are they saying that? And it gets repeated and repeated, and there's this pattern. And you're like, why are people telling me I'm saying something and I don't have a recall? You weren't there. You weren't there. And it's not a mental health issue per se in terms of dementia or bipolar or schizophrenia or name a disease. You have a fractured soul. you have trauma, you need love, you need healing. And then you can work with a therapist of sorts, counselor, doctor of psychology. And now that you're no longer tethered to jumping out of your body, you can heal your behaviors. You can change your thought forms because you're here. You're here. And you're not going into another dimension anymore. Michelle and I rewrite those records. So we can stop blaming and shaming people. We don't have to give you a label. You just don't feel good and you don't feel safe and you're not psychologically safe in the area that you're at, so you're jumping out. We'll help you stay centered and stay here so you can address what you need to address. And you can heal. And it's much easier than taking poisonous pills. Plants and prayers work. Ask my girlfriend, she's a vegan. Or vegetarian, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a V word. So, thoughts?
Yeah.
You know, that was a lot.
I think not most, but I think maybe people are more familiar with the term disassociation. And so I'm really glad you brought that up because people, we hear that more often. Mm-hmm. And really, it is disassociation comes from a trauma, an experience,
mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? So when we talk about that and like the fact that, we were talking about the playing field, I guess, as far as science and spirituality, being and energetics being one and the same, this is where this is kind of proving that, because the thing that happens a lot of times in a Western medicine type of treatment is if someone's disassociating, they give them a pill.
Which disassociates them more.
Which makes things, it just exacerbates the problem. And it doesn't actually get to the core of what's happening. Now, I know there are some doctors that would say, well, we have to get them to a place where they can even function in their brain before we can help them get where they need to be.
Yeah, maybe an essential oil, which takes 20 seconds versus a pill that takes 20 minutes.
I was going to say there are many, many ways.
Oh,
there are
girlfriend, this is just one.
Yeah, there are many ways. There are plant medicines.
Thank you.
That are illegal. And I mean, I could go on a whole rant and rave on that alone, because the things that are legal cause more issue. Mm-hmm. And they contract us. The things, some, not all, some things that are not legal is because if they were legal, the world would know that they can't be controlled. And then the world would have no control over what they want to control over. Yeah. But I digress.
Now, let me tell you something. So there's the stuff that's illegal, right? And then there's the stuff that is legal, like oils. But then I met these women, Wendy Cohen Osborne and Dr. Lisa Piper at the Biohacking Expo in Miami. And they were working with a doctor, Dr. McMichael, and he's a frequency expert. And he created these drops of a saline solution. Damn. He infused the frequency for sleep, balance. He infused a frequency for calm. Tinkerbell didn't have balance. Her tail feather would kind of like a rudder, the tail feathers are your rudders in a way, right?
Okay.
When it was going off to the side, you can't see this in my hands, but it was going off to the side when she would fly, indicating she was out of balance. I gave her the drops 4 days in a row, because you can give them to any animal, because it's just saline solution and frequency.
Yeah.
perfect flyer. 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So, and there's more.
There's a ton more, and it doesn't have to be illegal things. It can be things that people poo-poo, right? Like frequencies and things like that, like energetics. You know, I am
it's
in a
called
lot of,
woo-woo and pseudoscience, according to those people.
yeah, I'm in a lot of business groups, and I am very well aware that when I say who I am and what I do, I'm very well of the room, right? I mean, I can read a room like that, obviously, because I feel the energy. But even if you didn't feel the energy, you could probably tell the look on people's faces who accepts those things and who does not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about believing. You don't have to believe in what I do to accept it. You can just be open to it, right? You can
Or
be
just
open to
respect.
it.
Or respect it.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Respect and being open to the fact that that is what I do. That is not what you do, and that's fine. But like I tell people, you don't have to believe in law of attraction for it to be true.
Right.
I mean, energy is energy, and we know that. And you don't have to believe in how it works for it to work, because it does. Do pharmaceuticals work?
Well, it depends on the definition of work.
That's what I was just going to say. Depends on.
Sorry. I read minds.
I know. It depends on if you want to just take care of the symptom, which I think is part of the notes that we were going to talk about anyway. Part of the symptom, or you brought that up earlier. You brought it up with the review that you read.
Oh, yeah,
If you want to just talk about the symptom and take care of the symptom versus the root cause.
Yeah.
Because that pharmaceutical likely, because I'm not a doctor of any kind, but I know what I know.
Well, no, that is so not true. You are a spiritual doctor for your soul.
I am a spiritual doctor. Yes. But it's likely from what I know that it is going to take care of, if it takes care of anything, it's going to mask or take care of the symptom. Just like if we have a headache and we take a pharmaceutical for that, right? I'm not going to say the name of it. If we take a pill for it, we might not have a headache anymore, but it might just be that we're dehydrated.
Or you destroyed your gut lining.
I mean, lots of things could be wrong, but we may not ever know what's wrong because we're simply treating the symptom. So when we look at energetics and conflict, it's the perfect opportunity for us to get to the root of what is going on instead of just masking the symptom. Because if we really want to get better in whatever way that is, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever, relationally, we must heal the root. It doesn't matter who you are, what situation it is, what relationship it is. If you don't heal the root, it will not improve. It will not.
I have a question for you, though. Everybody has the same root cause, right? No?
I don't know. Tell me what you're going after. I'm not following.
They don't. So
okay. I was going to say.
Mass medicating people with fluoride.
Right.
If we all don't have the same root cause,
right?
Why would you mass distribute fluoride or anything else for that matter?
Or just, energy healing. It's not a one size fits all. That's why when, sometimes when people ask me, what is your coaching program? Well, here's the outline, but it's going to look different for you versus them versus me because we are all different.
Well, that's what I tell them too. I was speaking to someone today and I said, this is the outline. I said, but it's going to be customized for you. Right. So if you already have experience in this section, we're not going to spend time, and then we're going to do a deeper dive in an area that is suited for you, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, I hope that we've answered. We try to keep these shows now under 55 minutes, because at least, or lower, because I like to put them up on TikTok. I almost called it Tip Top.
Yep.
Tip Top, Tip
That's
Top.
okay. That's okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So I just want to, just give people permission here to reframe conflict as a positive experience, to learn, to reframe, to understand things differently. You don't have to agree with people, but you can hear them without attacking them. And you can save yourself by not getting, as Chris says, all caught up in the muck. Okay.
Exactly.
And I want to say hello to Shireen Meherali, who popped in here. I know we popped her up on the screen, but hey, sister, my Hawaiian sister, so motion code practitioner. She's amazing. Anything you want to say before we skedaddle?
I don't think so, except, I would just say, remember what Jodi was saying about how much of our body is made up of water,
Mm-hmm.
and the experiments that have been done on water. Or take a plant, for instance. When you talk to your plants and you're loving to them, and you tell them all nice things, they love that. They grow, they thrive. It's the same thing for us. And so, start with yourself, start telling yourself good things. And some days you might have to search a little bit harder, but how about your legs got you out of bed, if that's the case, or your eyes opened up,
And if you're having a tough time getting out of bed, forgive yourself.
yeah, yeah. And also then allow that to come through for others too, and give them give them compliments, appreciation, and gratitude. And that will not only help them, but as we said, it will also help you.
Beautiful. And if you want to reach out to me, Reverend Jodi Susan, 847-738-0242. You can email me at jodi@susanessentials.com, or go to the website, susanessentials.com. Michelle, you want to tell people again how to reach out to you?
Yeah, you can email me at myrockstarcoach@gmail.com, or just check out my website, rockstarcoach.org.
All right. She is a great coach. If you are called to seek her out, I suggest that you do. If you're called to seek me out, I suggest that you do. I would ask you to go to Amazon.
Yes. Go get the book. Go get the book. Go get the book.
And it comes with a workbook. Woohoo! And I just want to show this, like, the workbook has all these pretty clouds in it.
Oh, so pretty. So pretty. I love
Anyway,
the workbook. I love it.
thank you. It's like birthing a baby. Mm,
I'm sure. Yes, I know. I was there for a lot of it. Yes.
I know you were. And thank you for holding space. Mm.
I've seen a real baby be born, and I think it was probably harder to watch, to watch the book than an actual baby be born.
Yeah, because you usually have a timeline with the baby.
Yeah, it's usually, at some point something's gonna happen, and it's gonna be within
Right.
a certain window.
And if she's not coming out of the vajayjay, they're going to do a C-section.
Yeah, they're gonna take it out. Yeah,
Right.
they're gonna take it out. Yeah.
I don't know what orifice it came out of. It doesn't matter at this point. It's out. Woo! Praise Jesus for that.
Hallelujah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Join us next week. And thank you, Michelle.
Absolutely.
All right. And then I got my cool banner. I don't know if anybody saw it last time, but this is my new banner. Look at this. Woo!